President McInnes, Chaplain Saltillo, colleagues, good morning. And good morning to the parents, guardians, family, and friends of the incoming class. In my role as Dean of Yale College, I thank you for everything you've done in guiding and supporting these young adults. I'm delighted that they and you are joining the Yale community. Students from the class of 2028, transfer students, Eli Whitney students, visiting international students, welcome to Yale. And I'd also like to extend a special welcome to our new president, or a welcome back to Mari McInnes, our new president. Students, in gathering here today, you join a great tradition shaped by the many generations of students who have come before you. More than 1,500 of you have come to New Haven from all over the world. You've come from 1,100 different high schools, and 23 of you most recently attended community college. Among you are first robotics captains, jazz trombonists, employees of the month at your local Panera, debate team captains, and 3 sport varsity athletes. About a fifth of you will be in the first generation in your family to attend a 4-year college. And more than a fifth of you have received Pell grants for low-income students. 49 of you were admitted through the Eli Whitney or transfer students programs, and 20 of you are U.S. military veterans. And that's the largest number of veterans in the entering class in many years. You come to Yale from different religious backgrounds with different political beliefs, cultural traditions, ethnic, racial, and national heritages. But amidst this great diversity, you also share much in common. You are broad-minded people coming here to seek a liberal education with a strong commitment to learning and an excitement about what's ahead of you. You're entering Yale College in the class of 2024, in the fall of 2024, and most of you will graduate in 2028. This means, among other things, that we start the semester just as the Olympic Games conclude. So we're able to cheer for the many Yaleys who've been representing the United States and 9 other countries at the Olympics and the Paralympics. The Games symbolize the striving for international harmony and an effort to channel the competition among nations into a peaceful pursuit. In ancient Greece, where wars among city-states were common, a truce would be held every 4 years so that athletes could travel to the Games. And today, too, we think of it as an opportunity for international collaboration. Yaleys have represented 10 countries at this year's Games and won medals for 5 different countries. Which reminds me of the feminist author Virginia Woolf's comment that, as a woman, my country is the whole world. Together, as members of the class of 2028, you represent 55 countries and 52 United States territories and states. Way back in 1776, the year of American independence, future Yale President Timothy Dwight told the graduating class that they should consider themselves citizens of the world, and we continue to emphasize international collaboration and engagement as a key part of a Yale education. The journey you are starting today also coincides with one of the major political cycles of American life, the presidential election. So you have a special opportunity to learn about democratic citizenship. You may well have spent part of the summer following the presidential election and the campaign season, which have been extraordinary by any measure. Entering college now with many prominent Yaleys in politics naturally raises the question of what your college education has to do with democracy. Yale College's mission statement says that we educate students to lead and serve in every sphere of human activity. And here I want to emphasize that one word, serve. You may lead and serve in many fields: academia, the arts, business, law, medicine, the military, science, and technology, and some of you will serve in government. Elite institutions often speak about education for leadership, but citizenship is a relation among equals, and we should be educating you for citizenship, for participation on a level of equality with others. By virtue of coming to Yale, you join a group with disproportionate political power. In Congress and other powerful institutions today, people who've been to college hold most leadership roles. Over 95% of members of Congress have college degrees, as against only about 42% of adults in the general population. Graduates of Yale are even more overrepresented in national leadership, but remember that even if you go on to a role as a leader, you will be serving your equals. I encourage you to participate in democracy, however you choose, and to view your time at Yale as an opportunity to think about the contributions you will make in your community or nationally or internationally when you graduate. Remember also that you're here among peers on campus, and you should treat other members of the college community with respect. So what does this type of leadership and service mean, especially today when division and polarization have coarsened public discourse? In Yale College, we offer a liberal education. The word liberal in this expression does not mean politically liberal, but both senses of the word have their root in liberty or freedom. The liberal education you are about to pursue is focused on your general intellectual, social, and ethical development, and not exclusively on career preparation. And a liberal education has traditionally, since ancient times, meant an education appropriate for free citizens. The American form of this education has grown up alongside our democracy. In many ways, as you come to college, you have the opportunity to exercise your liberty. You have great freedom in how you spend your time, choose your courses, and chart your own path. You will have opportunities to study history or political science or global affairs in order to learn more about how governments work, but just as important is the opportunity to talk with and learn from people who have very different backgrounds and ideas from your own. Find those people who see the world differently from you and make friends with whom you can respectfully disagree. Most of you live in the United States, but many of you are citizens of other countries. I myself came here from Canada as an international student. It's not that far away, but still. And I had an opportunity to learn a lot about American democracy. Now, some of you may go home and run for office someday. One notable world leader who graduated from Yale, Ernesto Zedillo, served as president of Mexico from 1994 to 2000. President Zedillo now teaches here, and once you're a sophomore, you can sign up for his class on the economic evolution of the Latin American and Caribbean countries. President Zedillo played a major role in guiding Mexico from one-party rule to modern multi-party democracy. And in remarks to the Mexican Congress shortly after his party lost the legislative elections of 1997, here's what President Zedillo had to say about Mexican democracy. I've always been confident that free and open competition would enable each of us to shoulder our commitment to democracy in the practice of a genuine ethic of political responsibility. An ethic of responsibility that includes unwavering defense of our laws and respect for our institutions, an ethic of responsibility that encourages tolerance and restraint, not confrontation and rancor. President Zedillo speaks not only for Mexican democracy, but also for all democratic nations. Beyond political victory or any policies that we hope to influence by voting, we share a commitment to the rule of law, to sustaining democratic institutions, and to the tolerance that encourages dialogue. Freedom and equality are both key principles of our democracy. When I visited Washington, D.C. this summer, I read the words of the Gettysburg Address inscribed on the wall of the Lincoln Memorial, in which President Lincoln called for a new birth of freedom and defended government of the people, by the people, for the people. These are values that transcend partisan political difference. As I stood on the steps of the memorial, I thought of Martin Luther King, who 1 century after Gettysburg spoke on those steps and said, "I have a dream that one day this nation will rise up and live out the true meaning of its creed. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal." And as Dr. King also said that day, when the architects of our republic wrote the magnificent words of the Constitution and the Declaration of Independence, they were signing a promissory note to which every American was to fall heir. This note was a promise that all men would be guaranteed the inalienable right of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. The ideals of Lincoln and King live on and speak to us today as we search for the true meaning of equality and freedom. As members of a democracy, we agree to live as equals according to laws and to determine those laws through debate and discussion and legal processes, and not by force. And as members of a university community, we commit to dialogue and evidence. A university is not exactly a microcosm of society. You were chosen to come to Yale because of your unique talents. But the university is even more dependent than society as a whole on its commitment to words and persuasion as the means for resolving disputes. You are here to learn skills like analysis, argument, imagination, critical judgment. These are skills that you will take with you no matter what you study as you go out into the world to lead and serve. History in which all of one side is bad and all of the other side is good is tempting, but usually misleading. And now, at a time when the challenges that we hear to ideals from President Zedillo, President Lincoln, and Dr. King are all around us, it can be tempting to doubt democratic processes or institutions like the university or principles like freedom of speech. No university can define justice for all its students, but the liberal education ahead of you will equip you to inquire about justice, to explore the complexity of historical, political, and moral arguments, and to grapple with them using evidence and reason. In the days, weeks, and years ahead, find ways to serve, perhaps through Dwight Hall, our Center for Public Service. If you're a U.S. citizen, be sure to exercise your right to vote in November, but also consider getting involved at the campus level through the Yale College Council, or globally through the Yale International Relations Association. Most important, seek out conversation with your peers from all backgrounds. You have 4 years ahead of you in which to explore your freedoms in a community of equals. And when you graduate, take that spirit of leadership and service with you. Once again, welcome to Yale.